What's up, everyone? It's Bones. Today's video, I'd like to talk about some cards that are under the scope of players for our next ban list or forbidden and limited list, whichever you would like to call it. Some of these opinions will be just mine, as everyone is entitled to their own. But before I start, if you're a fan of in-depth combo videos, new set coverage, and occasional fun stuff like this as well as quarterly tier lists, you should consider summoning out the main cert of your deck so that it can click and recruit those thumbs up and subscribe buttons. I've heard from other people that your deck becomes more consistent that way, but don't source me, I'm not liable. The first few cards that I want to talk about are the Bystials. These are cards meant to counter the abundance of light and dark decks that those light and dark decks also happen to use. In the pictures on the screen, you'll see that I have 3 Bystial monsters that I believe should all be at a lower count. Rebellion still allows you to search a name and a branded spell and trap. Small world decks can tech it in likely jank combo decks, giving it a small niche and away from dominating a part of the metagame. Keeping spheres and banning Magna Hut is my personal approach to it, as I don't think dragons need to die, but Magna Hut having the ability to search from the deck or graveyard off of spheres is just too convenient. It's also a hand trap that can disrupt your opponent with a 2500 attack body that gets you an extra card. Saronir is another card that can go to 1. Instead of just banning Branded Regained, I think it's best to hit the overall general problem. With 3 Saronir, sending off Lubellion is easy. It's still a hand trap, and if you open Lubellion with a way to already bring out Saronir, almost like the consistency of some of these combos never left. Hand traps, beat sticks, and engines should all never be printed on one card in my opinion. Eradicator Epidemic Virus is the first of a few Labyrinth hits that I have on my prediction, and sort of a wish list. Labyrinth has been around as long as Runic. It may have gotten good later, but it's becoming less and less welcome. Any strong generic trap is on a ticking time bomb because of this archetype. In a game, we were complaining about not having enough traps not too long ago. Could you imagine the irony of keeping one trap deck alive just to kill off the rest of them? There's no point to playing Eldritch when lab cards have 3 Scarlet and a normal summon search, plus a multi-faker that gets you a trap. Because of this, I have Welcome Labyrinth going to 2, Big Welcome to 1, and Lady to 1, and Labyrinth may fall off from the meta because of those hits, but I don't think that the deck would be dead with 3 total Ariana and a newfound ability to play Duality and Prosperity. With that said, I would keep the Eradicator untouched following those hits. That takes me to the next thing that I want to talk about, and all the strong generic cards in the game, like Prosperity digging for 6, or 3 at your choice, and banishing the extra deck is becoming less punishing as Konami continues to pump out decks that can play it with little to no backfire. A deck like Kashtira or Purely that can play multiple copies of extra deck cards and still build their boards don't care about it, much less do lab players. At 1, this card feels too sacky, at 3 it feels too consistent. If I were Konami, I would test the waters with semi-limiting it before potentially banning it. Either way, I just don't think it's good at 3 or 1. The next card is Duster, and with hits to Labyrinth putting them down to size, back would no longer have to suffer the fear of Lightning Storm, Duster, and Evenly all in the same format. I think it's okay to just outright ban it again so that people can't just tech in that 1 copy of Duster every time they sniff a back row deck. This takes me to the trap floodgates. There can be only 1, Rivalry, Gozen, and Skill Drain, which will probably and unfortunately remain untouched. Even with combo decks abusing them, Konami seems to think of them as a check and balance. I disagree, and if it were up to me, all of them would be at 1 or banned. I don't think going second should be such an uphill battle. Talking about going second, I know I said it shouldn't be such an uphill battle, but it also shouldn't be a way to single-handedly break through an opponent's board or get you advantage when you're going first. Thrust makes this card even stronger, and keeping it at 3 just doesn't feel right for the health of the game. Cards like this and Bystials that only work under certain circumstances that happen enough to play them also make them dead versus decks that don't really care about them. Bricking is a small complaint that I've also seen pop up, but understand that Kashtira is a deck that's really highlighted that in my opinion. I would limit talents so that players have to prioritize Thrust over it when building their decks. The next card we have is Shifter, and this one is similar to what I said previously with the bricking and going second being a 1 card out, but my argument about this is simple. It's Max C disguised as Macrocosmo. When someone can draw phase Shifter or summon out a Kashtira monster and activate Shifter as they continue prompting a scoop, interaction is thrown out of the window by default. You either have the out or you don't. Gameplay like that is why complaints are more rampant than ever. If Konami truly cares about their game, they would get rid of this card. understanding it is a hindrance to how the majority of their player base feels in regards to this type of gameplay and how people outside of it looking in feel about it. It's also terrible for streams. The next cards I want to talk about are the Kashtira and Adventure cards. Arise Heart is an obvious ban candidate. Unicorn can stay where it's at, but another opinion that I have that some people may not like is I think that Wright, Water Enchantress, and Fenrir should all go to 1, with Fenrir being even justifiable. With all these hits on top decks and generic cards, the last thing that this game needs is to be dominated by 10-minute turns with easy ways to play around multiple hand traps, through an early Baron or Crystal Wing and so on. The variety of decks that could abuse this would also rise over time, as the pieces that you can get from the Adventure engine can just vary depending on the deck, similar to how Infernoble could play the Fire Warrior Adventure monster for a level 4 to get them into Angelica, Isolde, or Dempsey. Decks that feel like they get whatever they want for free just isn't good for the game in my opinion. Sprite and Runic are two other decks up on the chopping block, as we've officially reached about a year since Sprite released in the TCG. With all the hits on these other decks, putting Jet to 2 with Starter to 1 and either Fountain or Tip to 1, that should be enough to bring the power level of this deck down enough. With Gigantic untouched, the deck wouldn't be terrible, though that could quickly change come Agov. With that said, I think blue can stay untouched as well. For the rest of the cleanup, I think Leap is the correct way to approach purely over Sleepy Memory. Without a guaranteed Leap search through my friend, and the reliance of Lily and Little Nor doing the work for the Leap would make this deck a lot more fragile. The lack of being able to consistently get into the bigger Nork is overall what the game really needs in regards to what they do with Purely. The next card is Silva, and with all of these hits, you have to touch Dark World somehow. I think outright banning what causes the hand loop is the best thing that can be done. With Dark Corridor, the deck should still be able to consistently make its boards as long as it doesn't get hit with a Droll. With the new Horus cards in Agov, I just can't see Colossus or Harp coming off the list. Even if Orchest is a bit outdated, Orchest is always a sub-engine away from becoming a sub-engine and something more diabolical. Colossus, on the other hand, is just a floodgate boss monster that's too easy to make. It adds on to already big end boards, and I think Konami has learned from their mistakes in that regard. Gazelle could come back to 3 to push product, and I wouldn't be surprised. Most Salamangreat build will already only likely play 1 fire due to buffer low, and leaving its relevance in the hands of future support rather than Gazelle coming back just makes sense. Because of that, I'll put it to 3. The final 2 cards we have are Dark Grepher and Armageddon Knight, and with all of the tier limit hits and changes to the game since these cards were touched, I think these cards could come straight off the list and nothing would happen. Spamming Isolde isn't as strong as it once was, as nowadays Isolde needs to resolve. Cool deck ideas may be made out of it, but I don't think Armageddon Knight or Dark Grepher would do anything to put up too much of a fight to the new cards that we've gotten over the last several months and the cards that we've still yet to get. I'll put them both at 3 due to how far this game has come, even though that's sort of a wish list as well. So for all of you that made it this far, I thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I thank you for the 600 plus subs, and appreciate your continued support. Remember to click on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons, as they really are appreciated and do help the channel, as it goes a long way in doing so. Anyways, I hope to see you on the next one. It's Bones, signing out.